Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Heal Yourself Naturally, brought to you by IPAC. My name is Nicole Dromi. I'm joined by Hava Levy and Sarah Woods Kender. We are so excited to get straight into today's topic. We discussed last week a little bit about women's health, in particular, puberty and the beginning of cycles and during cycles, etc. Today, we're going to talk about fertility, which has become a common issue in our society where women are becoming more and more infertile. And so we really want to get down into this discussion so that women around, anybody who's listening to our podcast, can get pointers on how to help rectify it, or if you're in the struggle of infertility, what can you do to help it? Some of the mental stuff and emotional things that come up while you're in this process. And so we're here to help. I'd like to start with Chava. I know that you've helped a lot of cases like this, women who have become infertile, or, we also have the stigma that once you start trying, you should be able to get pregnant right away, but that's not always the case. So what do you say to some of your customers who have been trying for at least 6 months, who aren't able to get pregnant, specifically the women? What should they be doing? What should they be focusing on? How should they be eating, et cetera, et cetera?
Wow, there's a lot to cover.
I know. Well, let's just get into
we'll
it.
We'll start with some basics.
Yeah.
And the first basics is actually whenever someone is trying to get pregnant, I would suggest stop thinking about getting pregnant. And I tell you, this trick works absolutely incredible, because I do feel when the husband and wife are in the pressure to get pregnant, something is not working there, because it's like it should be through your love, it should be through the passion, whatever. But once you are, oh, let's have the baby, that's like this pressure, it's actually blocking from getting pregnant. So the first thing that I would suggest, enjoy your sex life and don't think about, oh, I need to get pregnant, because this is one of the most important things. This is like one of those that I suggest. Then the next thing will be obviously to bring your hormones into balance and prepare your body, meaning that, as we mentioned last time, bring the hormones back, make sure that you're taking raspberry leaf tea, that you're balancing your body, you're preparing your body to have a baby. Now, preparing body, in most cases, I do see that we have a nutritional deficiencies. And those nutritional deficiencies can cause the problem and infertility. So I would suggest eating clean basics. I mean, eating clean, keeping yourself hydrated, moving the body, self-love, self-care. Another thing I would usually suggest is to going over specific minerals that are regulating your hormones, like your thyroid gland. And most girls and females and whoever I see, they are all lacking iodine. So I do suggest to check the iodine levels. It's like, I would say it's one of the most important hormone regulators. It's important mineral that we are lacking, not hormones. But okay, so that's another thing. Then I would suggest,
what's a simple way to check your iodine if you're not getting tested? I know you have a method.
Right. I mean, it's probably everyone knows, but we can go over through this simple method. And the method is, I usually have it right here. You take the simple Lugol's iodine, and then you take and you basically paint on your inner in your inner how you call it, inner elbow, and you make like a nice I would say like brown square, if you see, I don't know. And then I usually suggest to monitor it for 24 hours. And I've never seen a case yet that someone was not deficient, and that's how bad we are. And as Usually it disappears less than like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. That shows you that we are so deficient that our thyroid gland is not working correctly, not getting what it needs. So obviously that's the problem. So that's another thing. Then I would work on the liver, obviously, because the liver is congested, and when the liver is not working, the whole entire body is not working. And we do see a lot of cases with the liver problems. Most um, females as well as the males suffering from the liver problems, liver toxicity. So I would do some cleansing. I would suggest doing 3-day cleanse or even more. It depends on each case individually, but cleaning the body, getting rid of the garbage is very important. So I was thinking to summarize it, because we're kind of going back on the same thing. It's basically toxicity, deficiency, and dehydration. That's it, kind of. That's what I feel we're going always all around this. And many people don't understand that toxicity is the main cause, because as we mentioned last time, people are living in a very toxic society. Yeah, and then another thing is belief, and I've had actually case of someone, of a 45-year-old woman, and she would go to her doctor, and the doctor would say, that's it, you're never gonna get pregnant. And she was not married even at that time. And the fun of was very interesting, because they would push her that she should go through all these preparations. So maybe they do I don't know how to say
To
in
freeze her eggs.
yes, and do different things. And then one time she called me and she was crying. She said, that's it, I'll never be a mom. That's what my doctor said. I'm already past the time, blah blah blah, and blah blah blah, and blah blah blah. And she even tried to get pregnant twice with the doctor's help, and obviously it didn't work out. Each time something happened, and then she said, like, that's it, for sure, I'm never gonna have a baby. So I said, first let's get married, first let's find someone that you love, and when you are in love, everything will come in the right place. And she was crying, and she was like, no, it never happened. How come? For sure I'll never found the right guy, whatever. By then she did found the right guy, and guess what, in a month or two she got pregnant, and she's having a baby. It's like this fear mongering. It's absolutely crazy when they put this, oh, you'll never, oh, there's certain timing that you need to get pregnant. I understand, I got pregnant when I was at age 19, but doesn't mean that if I want now I cannot get pregnant. This idea that we all this
That we have time limits
fear
and
that
yeah,
been upload on the woman, on this pressure that she needs to fit at a certain timing. Like, what the hell? You
right.
read in the Bible, people get having babies and periods at age 90. Come on.
Yeah. Right. Well, back
I
then
mean,
they
this
didn't
is
have as much toxicity around them, that's for sure.
right.
But yeah, going back to what you said, some things that I really, do hold a lot of value in, and I have a lot of experience in. When you are so bent up about having children, and it's the, constant trying and having sex with your partner just to have that happen, it usually doesn't happen because of the energy that you put around it and the stress that your body gets into, and in your partner, that, you must succeed in conceiving. And most of the time when you just enjoy each other, and the joining of you two, of the couple, is just really for fun and the love that you share, those are the times that you actually do get pregnant. And I have that from firsthand experience. And I even got, I've had children very young in my life. I have 4 now, but every time I got pregnant, it's because we enjoyed each other. It wasn't because, oh, we're trying to get pregnant. And I tell that to a lot of my friends that are just now married and are trying. I'm like, first of all, try to enjoy each other, and then see if you need to do other things.
Yeah.
But deficiencies, like you said, we can narrow down almost everything into 3 different things, which is toxicity, deficiency, and hydration, right? We this is the stuff we need to rectify in order to better our body. What are some of your suggestions, Sarah, in terms of let's say some herbs that you can take in order to increase the probability of getting pregnant.
Well, there's a lot that women can do, but I just appreciate this conversation around the emotional aspects of pregnancy and expectations, right? So that's super important. So I really love this conversation. Barring that emotional piece is taken care of, and we focus more on the physical aspects of pregnancy and fertility issues, is what I like to say.
Yeah.
I feel like saying infertility is it's so damning, you know. Um, but fertility issues are transient, so they can be resolved, right? Uh, I always like to have a very detailed conversation about history of cycles and even going into mom stuff and seeing where they're at with their hormones, because if their hormones are pretty much balanced, then we might have an ovulation problem. Okay. So I do like to work with integrative physicians, and I have to a degree, as willingly as they are to work with an herbalist. Um, and so just to get a
Willingly.
baseline, but
Yeah.
some of my favorite herbs are of course chaste berry, and I just happen to be in the shop so I can grab the jar. And chaste berry, this is going to be backwards, but chaste berry is also called Vitex, and that is an herb that I use for, even for PMS and menstrual issues and erratic cycles. Anyway, so that would be my first herb that I would introduce, because typically women are estrogen dominant and they don't have enough progesterone, and you need progesterone to hold a pregnancy. So that herb is going to help support the progesterone production in the body. I'm also using red raspberry leaf because you need a toned uterus to hold a pregnancy as well. At least that increases your chances. So I guess the herbs I would use would be chaste tree berry. Um, and then I would most certainly support the stress response, because uh, high stress, high cortisol, and other stress hormones aren't conducive to fertilization. And they're actually not conducive to many things, health in general. But, just some of the stories that I've had over the years with women. One woman who, she was a runner, and she ran like every day. And a lot of people think exercise is really healthy for you, right? It's really important, and of course it is.
Right.
But um I just asked her. I said, "Well, 15 miles a day is a lot." And I just said,
Wow.
"What are you running from? What is it you're running from?" Because that's not conducive to fertilization, is if you're running from something, because I felt that that's exactly what that energy was. And she was, trying to be better, do better, all the things. And it wasn't about herself, it was about her relation and, her relations to other people and how she's perceived, right? So I just said, why don't you just do like 2 runs a week? And you need to tone it down. Exercise causes a lot of stress hormones.
Right.
It causes a lot of damage in the body. So managing stress, first and foremost, stop the excessive exercise. If you want to get pregnant, you got to just be. And definitely, I love the idea of not thinking about it, because my sister, she was trying to get pregnant for a long time, and she's like, "Oh, we're trying this and we're trying that." I said, "Have you tried not trying?" Within
Yes.
a month, she was pregnant.
Yeah.
It's like not trying. I love
I,
that.
I've seen this so many cases,
Right.
So
like
many times.
seriously, so many times.
And it's that outer expectation and that need for this
Yeah.
baby. But you know what? The baby will come when the baby's ready.
Right.
And the baby waits for the parents to be ready. I'm telling you, it works that way all the time.
Just
So
that
back to
negative
herbs.
energy that you put around yourselves, that
Yes.
how come this hasn't happened, and or feeling defeated, and just
Well, think
all those
about what that,
expectations.
right, and what that does. as far as a woman and her identity, as much as there's a whole bunch of flim flam going on about what defines a woman, okay, we're ignoring all that crap for now because
Right.
that's just, we know what a woman is, and we know that being a mom is one of the most amazing things a woman can do. This
Right.
is what we do, we create. And I think that's a huge aspect of why women want children, right? Because we want to fulfill our destinies of being a woman, and certainly having a baby is paramount. So that's a huge thing. It's not just expectations of society, it's the expectations that we put on ourselves. And
Absolutely.
so yeah, it's all that, right? But back to herbs, chaste berry is my favorite, red raspberry is my favorite. And I love to incorporate, so I have a female balanced tea that I incorporate liver support, because liver support is really important as well to detoxify the body.
Right.
One thing that if a woman really wants to increase her chances of pregnancy is to do a full body detox before you get pregnant. And just do your colonics, do whatever, but incorporate herbs that can help your body detox, and start from, do kidneys, do gut first, always do gut first, and liver, kidneys, and do a cellular cleanse. Eat clean, like Hava said, and what does that mean? I think a lot of people have ideas about how to eat clean, and they're not
Right.
good ideas. It's like, oh, I had this instead of that. Well, don't do the crackers. I had only had 3 Skittles instead of, a whole bag. Well, get rid of the Skittles, eat whole food, fruits and vegetables, protein, limit your carbs.
Right.
Uh, and just relax. Just relax. So herbs for stress, things like holy basil, schizandra, ashwagandha, everyone seems to know about.
Right.
Um, Even chamomile is nice. And we can't forget about sleep. All these things matter. So hormone balancing and stress, just those two things are as far as the physical aspect of fertility issues is
Right. And
something you
taking
can
care of
do,
yourself,
right?
like you said, taking care of yourself first prior to bringing another life into this world. So, a woman that really wants to take it matter seriously, instead of running to a doctor right away, first taking care of herself. And like you said, flushing, detoxing, taking care of your liver, first your bowels, right? We know the bowels are the number one cause of illnesses and diseases or imbalances in the body. It all starts with your gut. And one of the ways you can treat your gut well is by eating well, which we've talked about plenty on our podcast. But it's all about taking care of yourself first so that you can be your best version of yourself once it does happen, because it will happen if you're doing things properly. And after certain amount of trying, then there's obviously tests to be done both for the man and the woman to see really what's going on there. Are you ovulating? Do you have enough eggs, et cetera, et cetera? But number one is taking care of yourself, health wise and emotionally, right? Reducing the stress, taking care of your environment. Sleep is a very big one that people don't really take into account, because that's also something that can throw off your hormones. So, so I'd like to hear, what are some good um, herbs to help with sleeping, Kava?
Oh, there is so many. There is
Yeah, what
many
are you,
herbs
what's a couple of your favorites?
right. So there is a few that I would suggest that are amazing. My favorite, I mean, lemon balm is very very good. I found the lemon balm, or even lemon verbena. Right, it's like so. It's so good. And then I found lavender is absolutely good and really helping to calm down the nerves. Another herb is that I found works really nicely is skullcap. It's really good and really helps kind of to, you know, um, kind of put everything and prepare yourself for a good sleep. Um, I also like to combine not only the herbs but also hot showers because they do work together very nicely. But in reality, the lavender is my favorite. Is the one that's jumping right now in front of my eyes. So that's why I'm speaking about him. Each time it can be something else, but this is one of lavender. I feel it's really good, and lemon balm. You know, for some, is the licorice root is also very good. Even though licorice root is a little bit stimulating, but for some it works really nicely. It also helps with the hormones. So that's another herb that, but usually it comes in combination with other herbs, but the licorice kinda is sometimes it's really good and helps with, especially if we are very exhausted. Yeah, but some people, they have a very big problem taking licorice because it has some sort of a taste. And also if you're taking too much, then you actually will be more exhausted because you suddenly will feel too much energy. So you really
Right.
have to know what is exactly your how I would say your dose,
Balanced amount. Yeah, your
your
dose.
dose. Yes. Milky oats are very good, you know, they're wonderful. Then simple as a chamomile. But I do found that sometimes for some people, chamomile is like, okay, I know this herb already, like something else, you know. The chamomile is like the herb that like maybe we are underestimate maybe, but I also feel it's very moody herb in a way, like sometimes you do crave this herb and sometimes you kind of run away from this herb. But my cat is deciding to run up into like going climbing up into the window up high. So yeah, so that's another thing. But you know, lemon balm, lavender, skullcap, they're absolutely incredible herbs. I would suggest, and I would suggest to play around. And I also feel like it's good to have a couple varieties of those herbs that we'll mention here. And then I usually say to the person before, let's say retiring or something, open your cabinet and let your soul to speak with any of those herbs or combination, and then you can incorporate those in, and you'll see that your body will just take what it needs it. And I usually say, when I come to someone's house, and if you are my student, I want to see that you, as soon I open the cabinet, there is a variety of herbs. So that way you can choose in the one
Right.
that are specifically for today or tomorrow. And I also feel that many people don't know the taste of herbal teas. They not used to it. I always ask people, and they say, "Oh, I don't drink tea," or "I just had the farmers market." My friend, my friend, she have a beautiful daughter, young daughter. I think she's like 11 years old or something. And she's like, I asked her, do you drink teas? Oh, no, I don't like teas. I said, why not to try with raspberry leaf tea? Like, you know, get used to it, because we don't need to sit and wait till this problem struck us, and then okay, let's force ourselves to drink the tea. It should be part of your living. So the
Routine.
tea,
Yeah.
yeah, it's something that you want to enjoy. It's something that you want to live with it. So I suggest having a tea and tasting different flavors and playing around. It's very good. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk about the more about the emotional aspect and come back to enjoying each other as a couple, right? And I found a lot of the times couples that are so focused on getting pregnant lost that enjoyment factor in their relationship because they're so focused on the end goal of becoming pregnant that they lose you know, the courtship and a big part of the relationship. So something I highly suggest is, you know, start doing a weekly date, or even if you do it, don't go to your usual spot and just a dinner date with some drinks, because that can get repetitive and boring. I love it. I would highly recommend having like alternate people, you know, between the two of you, alternate on who plans the date and let it be a complete surprise, and do things that are outside of your comfort zone that you don't typically do. So let's say the date is usually dinner, then do something completely different, an adventure, something that's fun, something that brings joy, something that gets the other person in the relationship out of their comfort zone, so that you guys can enjoy your relationship again. And at the end of the night, it's not about, okay, we need to go and try to have sex because I'm ovulating or whatever, and the pressure behind it. It's just about enjoying each other's company, less than, needing to succeed in this endeavor. So I highly recommend doing things that are out of the ordinary for one another, whether, in terms of date, and alternating between who plans it. And one week it's the woman, one week it's the husband, and just have fun with it. Enjoy yourselves. Have fun. The more fun you have with one another, the more likely you are to succeed in the endeavor. I don't know. What do you think about that, Sarah?
Well, I love that idea, and I think date nights should go on into perpetuity even after children, or
Oh, absolutely.
and I think that is a huge issue in general, is spending quality time together and what that really means. Because once you have kids, it's hard to schedule time for each other. So do it now. But I love the
Right.
idea of changing it up a little bit. Um, and one person does the planning one time and then doing something completely different, because we can all get set in our ways and in a routine that's just kind of, sometimes people feel like that's a comfortable place to be, and it certainly is. But boy, don't you feel so good after you've been, challenged, and you do something different. I mean, I always feel a little trepidation to begin with, but then I feel exhilarated, like, wow, look what I just did.
Alive. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was
you
really
feel
worth
alive.
it. Yeah,
I
so
know.
I love that idea, and energetics are really important in conceiving a child. Um, but there's one sobering thing to bring up, is that you may not have children in this lifetime. I mean,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, and I think that's something that women have to reconcile. If they've tried and tried and tried, it just might not be. And I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but we have to be realistic about it. I've seen it because, I do Reiki on people, and there's several, well, a couple of my friends anyway, that I've seen. All right, so this might get a little esoteric for people, so I'm just going to go for it. But I
I was
do.
going to ask about the Reiki aspect of this too. So I like that you're getting straight into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not afraid to talk about this stuff because, we don't have to fear what we don't know, right? I
Right.
see past lives, and I see, and, one particular friend of mine, she didn't have children in that lifetime, from what I gathered, but I saw her with a lot of children, which is interesting. So she was either a teacher or worked in an orphanage or something. And I think what she decided on a contractual basis in this lifetime is, and past lifetimes, was not to bring any other children into the world and be someone who takes care of children. You know, um, yeah, I mean, is that kind of a downer? Yeah, but she's reconciled that. She's tried for a very long time to have children. It's not in the cards for her this time, which is sad, but it's also a
A
reality.
reality.
But
Right.
it's interesting that I mean, I saw that in her path, in her journey through different lifetimes. And it's a reality, and it's almost like before we decide to incarnate in this lifetime, we've already kind of decided what it's going to be about, where we're going to focus our lessons and what we're going to learn. Um, and so again, not to be Debbie Downer, but sometimes it's just not in the
Um,
cards.
but
Yeah.
seriously, I so agree with you. There, I had also a couple cases, and one of the cases specifically is when I spoke with this couple, and I'm like, and they working so hard to get pregnant, and then since then maybe already few years passed, and I said maybe you should just enjoy each other, and And in reality, I do feel like if the God puts you in a certain position, you do need to accept it and then living the best instead being bitter all day long.
Mm.
And the problem is with many women who have this feeling, that that's it. I'm not good. I'm useless. There's nothing. If I cannot bring children, there is nothing what to do in this world. And then I say, you know, if that's your way of thinking, then you need to reverse it. And then why not then to really, go and adopt a child, or really like what you said. And in that way, while you're busy doing something beautiful, right? If this is what your passion is, right? There's always a way to figure out, yeah, maybe it's not your child, but you can grow generation of other children that will be like yours, and I 100% agree with you. And that's what I do feel like. If you're really passionate about it, then just have it. It doesn't matter if it's your child or no, but I want
Right.
exactly mine. If it's not mine, then there is no life to it. This is not correct,
Yeah,
and
it's a
I love what you
misconception
said.
because, like you said, Sarah, it's we as women, not just by society standards, but we feel like we're complete by completing our goal, or the reason why we are women is to bring life. But that doesn't mean that a child that is not your actual DNA is not yours. And becoming an adoptive parent and taking care of a child, whether it be from age 0 and watching them grow, or in a later stage in that child's life, you still impact them as a parent, and you can still become a parent even if it's not a child of your DNA or making, right? And
It's your
that's
karmic
also,
child. It's your karmic child.
yeah.
You know
And
what I
it's
mean by that.
also
Yeah.
someone that was supposed to meet on your path if you decide to go on there, right? We all have a path. And this is just completely, this is a spiritual part of Heal Yourself Naturally, right? Because we're all three of us are extremely spiritual, and whoever's not can tune themselves out for this part. But we believe in paths and purposes, right? We're all here in this planet. Like you said, we have a past life. We're brought back to it to complete a purpose. And we have this idea of what our purpose is until we're completely thrown off that track. But that doesn't mean that we still can't fulfill our purpose as a woman by not being a mother just because we physically cannot carry the child. It absolutely does not mean that. And it's also beautiful to be that for whether even if you do have your biological children and you come across the opportunity to do something like that and adopt a child, it's that child was brought into your life for a reason. And I think it's beautiful that people do that regardless of being able to carry children, to have their own children or not. But if you're not, it's something to take into account that it's still a possibility for you to be parents, whether it be by, a child of your own DNA or not. And so that's our spiritual aspect of this. And, right, we can still fulfill purpose. Let's talk a little bit more about cycles, right? Because you spoke a little bit about following cycles, Sarah. I want to hear your idea about it, Chava, about, you know, ovulation and cycles. And I know that you have also a spiritual part that you can give into this. But people who are, trying to get pregnant that are not doing it, what should they follow? What do you suggest?
Me?
Yeah.
What okay.
What was the
What,
question?
what, okay.
What was the question?
What was the
Following
question?
your cycle, right? And having sex at certain times during the pregnancy, and I mean during your ovulation times, or what do you think about having sex right after you finish your period, or before your period? What all of that? What is your idea behind perfect time to get pregnant?
Oh, it's very hard for me to say because I'm not so, I'm
Rigid?
not I'm not a person who really fits myself into certain boxes. Like there is certain rules that they say, oh, there is a temperature rise, there is this. I found I'm not the right person when it comes to that, because I'm very depends on the mood and depends on the but there's certain time that I do suggest to women not to be with the husband, specifically after having a period. There is a being in a period time, that's not a good time, because it's also very toxic, and the female woman needs her own time for cleansing. And I do feel it's a wonderful time for a woman to actually feel how she's cleansing and removing garbage out of her system, and to be able to be with herself, and not always I mean, whatever. So that's what I feel from one side. That and then I would suggest, actually in the Judaism we have something very incredible. I would say it's like we have the period that we are staying away from our husbands, and then for another 7 days we are away. So that means after the period, which is 4 to 5 days, depends, some people have 7 days, then we are not sexual active for another week. It's called a 7 days of cleansing, is when we actually regenerate ourselves, rebuild ourselves. And after the seventh day, it's when the time we immerse in this unique water. It's called cleansing water, and then we are with our husbands. And I do feel this is probably the best time, because that's how we've grown up into it. Some people, they think it's absolutely crazy that you're not in with your husband through all this period time and 7 days afterwards. But I do feel, and there is actually studies to back up, that are it's a healing process, and it's not should be disturbed by any sexual activity. And
Right.
and that's why when the study's been done, they also checked how that females in especially Orthodox Jews, they don't have those severe problems or infections or many other things, because they kind of keep this time sacred for themselves.
Right.
And I do,
So you're
I
talking about the
agree.
wall. So our, for people who don't know, our walls are shedding during our period, and then it takes another 7 days after the period ends to rejuvenate ourselves and internally. And so that's also the sweet spot in times of ovulation. So like you mentioned, women have their period for about 4 to 7 days on average, depending on the person, right? And for 7 days after that, you should not be sexually active. And if you look at studies, or if you do test yourself for ovulation, typically 12 to 14 days after your first day of your period is when you start ovulating. So that's also what you're saying in Judaism,
Yes.
that is the time that we do start to become sexually active with
Yeah.
our partner. But it's not only about that, like you mentioned, it's very much also a time for a woman to take for herself. So it's a cleansing period internally, and then a rebuilding period of the body. So it's also an
Yes.
emotional time for a woman to, have her own time and
Yeah.
not be so occupied and pleasing or fulfilling or doing things for her husband. It's all about her. So this
Yes.
is, yeah. So this
I
is also
found
perfect time to cleanse and do other cleansing methods like you both have suggested, whether it be,
this, it's very interesting, because when I was young and I thought, like, what this stupid idea is, why I cannot be with my husband. I want to be, and whenever I want, whenever, whatever. And then I realized, as more I was getting older, this question was bothering me all the time. And now that I would say, over 40 years old, I do feel like I'm slow learners. Come on, ladies. It takes time, but I did learn that appreciate this time. Appreciate
right.
this time, not because I got tired of my husband, which may be the true. I don't know, but the idea is that suddenly you learn to really respect and love yourself in a way like we're not used to. We've never been educated, and we always like let our emotions drive first, and it's not good sometimes. And I do feel that those certain rules actually help me to really understand and get in touch with myself more and respect myself and respect my own time. And I do feel it's really helping. And you know, I also feel that when the couples, they have whenever whatever, and they don't have any rules and they can do whatever they want, then that it's like, I would not that they get tired from each other, but it's like you know, it's like
If you eat chocolate cake every day, even
yeah,
on days you shouldn't have chocolate cake, one day you're gonna get sick of chocolate cake. That's
exactly.
like, you
So
know,
that's the
something.
good idea. So
Yeah.
there should
So
be a
separation
precious,
is good.
yeah,
Yeah.
separation is good. So
Separating is
I
good.
would actually suggest to everyone to follow this rule and really learn about it. I'm not saying specifically, but staying away at that specific time,
Right.
giving yourself love and care and time that you adjust to yourself and rebuild yourself. And it's absolutely incredible. So that's what I would
And
say.
during that time, like I said, it's very important to, while your walls are rebuilding internally, it's also really good to start drinking certain herbs, right? So
Oh,
we
right. I
said,
forgot about that.
we mentioned you know, we mentioned some herbs to take prior to your period, and then at all times it's really great to just drink red raspberry leaf tea, like Sarah has mentioned on multiple times, in order to strengthen your uterus. You know, and your cervix wall, everything is rebuilding, especially after your period. And so it's good to help rejuvenate your body by giving it that extra push. And so drinking herbs that help you
And other
is
herbs.
extremely beneficial. Yeah, what are some
Yes,
other?
yeah, some other herbs, the nettles are very good. The nettles are very good. And also, I create this iron syrup specifically designed for females who are losing a lot of blood. And most women we know that are suffering from low iron. And it's very important and to make sure that you are covered and you have enough iron in your body, because without oxygen, which is what it is, it's basically we are will struggle and will have no energy, and we're going to feel like all the time tired and sleepy. So I do say nettles, yellow dock, and nettles are good to add. And you know, I'm gonna make a video, and I also want people just to get powdered nettles and add them into your smoothie. You take a smoothie, you put a teaspoon of nettles and mix it and drink it. You know, bring these herbs into your life. And well, obviously spirulina chlorella, something that we do know, 70% protein, you know, it's very good. And green algae are very good. So all those stuff are very important, especially also herbal vitamin C, not the junky vitamin C that people take, but the ones that made from herbs like amla, camu, you know, all kind different varieties, even orange powder, orange
Grind.
grind. Yeah, it's
Right.
wonderful. You know, play around with those stuff. And are they all coming in a wholesome state? They're all herbs, and they're good to have
Right.
them on hand at all times. So herbal vitamin C is incredible. And what else I would suggest? Um, I'm, I do found molasses are very helpful. Oh, I see. I think Sarah stuck. Molasses are amazing, and molasses are. Oh, you good? Okay, so you
Yeah, she's
suddenly
good.
like.
She was just
So
frozen, you know,
I
listening to
found the
you.
molasses are amazing. You know, many years ago, people would take molasses as a daily
Supplement.
supplement.
Yeah.
I've read the books from 1800s, and they do speak about the molasses. You know, molasses teaspoon a day was a very, very important thing to do.
Yes.
So even today on my Go Healthy chat, I suggested someone to take at least teaspoon of molasses. And
Right.
now another thing, we are coming to end of the season of a pomegranates, and also pomegranates themselves are absolutely incredible. And you know what you can do? You can make your own molasses from pomegranate. And I've done it like 2 years ago. It was so good. You take you take the juice of pomegranates and you cook on a lower heat till they kind of evaporate, becomes like syrupy, and take every day like about teaspoon to tablespoon, and you'll see such incredible
Transformation.
energy,
Yeah.
and also your blood will build up. And we all suffering from blood problems. Like I don't see not even one woman who is healthy because their so blood is so
It's so
toxic,
true. So true.
Right.
right?
What
Yeah,
are
so
your
that's what I
suggestions,
feel.
Sarah, during ovulation or, after the period, sweet spot time of trying to conceive? What are some of your
Yeah, I
suggestions?
have a lot of thoughts right now. It's like first,
You're
it's
jumbled.
it's important for women to just understand their cycles and understand there's four parts to their cycle, right?
Right.
And nourishing the body with each of those four phases. First phase meaning the bleeding phase. So you're going to want to support the blood and to get your blood builders. So all the things Hava was saying is wonderful. Iron, molasses, nettles is a wonderful blood builder. And supporting, look it up, look at your four phases of your cycle and understand where you are on every day of each month and where you are in your cycle and how to nourish. And you want to be able to get good fats in your body. And there's a whole process of getting certain seed fats throughout
Right.
your phases as well. Flaxseed, pumpkin seeds, you know, um, all the seeds. They're not coming to me all, but I didn't write anything down. So, fats are important. Knowing your cycles are important. Building your blood is important. But if you really want to encourage fertility, the other herbs that I would use too, there's one in particular called partridge berry. And partridge berry, this is a plant that grows in the understory of the forest in the temperate forests like New Hampshire, most of the Northeast, and it grows along the ground. And it used to be called squaw vine. Now we don't
Oh,
call it squaw vine anymore because that has a negative connotation now to Native Americans, even though that's what they called it. They
right.
called it squaw vine because it
That's
helped.
that's the term I know it as. I didn't
Right.
know
Yeah.
partridge. Yeah.
Right. So, partridge berry is important to keep a pregnancy. It's actually used, especially for women who are prone to miscarriage, to be using it all throughout your cycle.
Entirety.
But certainly during ovulation and that whole middle time after you've cycled, after you've bled, give yourself 7 days. During ovulation is that third week. And then the fourth week is considered your luteal phase. But certainly in that third week, it's important to nourish. And you could just take a simple partridge berry tea, a typical cup of tea, and do that every day. And that will certainly increase your chances of.
During that 7 days of your third week in the month. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many different ways you could do it. You could blend a tea and drink it all throughout the month if you wanted to. I kind of gear the dosage and the formulations depending on what's going on with that person. And I listen to my intuition, and sometimes they just need it during their cycle, just
Yeah.
to during bleeding time. Red
Right.
raspberry leaf tea. Sometimes they need the whole kit and caboodle. So we do a blend for fertility and for PMS and things like that. But I wouldn't be using partridge berry for somebody that's just trying to manage PMS, obviously.
Right.
But partridge berry comes in really nicely for fertility issues. So that's another herb that I would do, but definitely be taking time for yourself. Don't get stressed out, and eating nourishing foods as well. Staying away from things like medicinal mushrooms because anything that stimulates the immune system will end a pregnancy, especially early on. So don't use medicinal mushrooms if you're trying to get pregnant. No, no
Right, because
sharp.
overactive immune systems can also hinder the ability to get pregnant or hold a pregnancy, right? That's
That's
something that a
correct.
lot of people don't know. Yeah.
Right. And with this mushroom coffee craze that's going
Craze.
on,
Yeah.
so many people are using these mushroom coffees that should not be using them.
Yeah.
Autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, but certainly if you're trying to get pregnant, that's part of my protocol to not get pregnant.
Is
Like I
use
don't
that is
do birth
drink that.
control.
Yeah.
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 So I just want to bring that that home. But it's too bad because mushrooms are excellent for nourishing the body. But you can use like reishi is fine and cordyceps, but I just say no mushrooms for people who want to get pregnant. But nourish things like I love the way you brought up pomegranate. Things that are red, things that are purple, they're gonna build the blood, right? Beets,
Right.
my favorite superfood
Me
in the
too.
world is beets.
Right.
And you don't have to go very far. You don't have to go to the Amazon to get your superfood. It's like right
Right.
there at your fingertips. So eat your beets, and eat these foods that will nourish the blood. Absolutely.
Right. I agree. I totally agree. And then also for people who are, religiously taking herbs and stuff, it's all, I just want to mention this because it's always important to give your body a break, even for just the little bit. So if you're doing something, repeatedly, right, it's always good to take a couple of days break if it's the whole month that you're doing this. So maybe every 5, 6 days, you take a break on everything that you're taking to give your body time to adjust and also self-regulate because you're putting in a lot of work. So you want to see the results in your body, but you also want to just give like, okay, chill time for your body because it's really trying to rebuild and do things. So I found that it's sometimes good to just take a break from taking herbs or doing whatever it is that you're used to because we're always on this like cycle and we're in like especially now we're just nonstop. Everything is nonstop for us.
Yeah.
Depending if you're in the city life or even in country life, whatever, you're just constantly working and your body is doing. And so it's really important just for like one day, even if it's just for when you're taking your herbs, just one day, give a pause and continue on in the week. I don't know what other suggestions you ladies have.
I tell you that what you mentioned, it's so interesting. I wrote this down last week, and I wanted to say the wise words of an ancient physician. First, you use the word, then the plant, and then the knife. See, the idea is that first we have to use our words, we have to speak, we have to find out the problem, we have to, um, it's sometimes just a
Expressing.
expression and hug and love can solve so much. Then we go into herbs because herbs are the most incredible tools for healing, and as you said, that's why I remember, because you're right. When we take herbs and it becomes like hop all the time, take, no, because the idea of the herb is to go in and to fix or add or do something what is designed to do, which is help you in the problem. But if you take all the time and you don't really stop and you don't give the body to, here, I give you the medicine, the body says thank you and doing what is designed to do. But if you hop all day long, you don't have a time to even, understanding what is going on in the body. And it actually sends the body into the shock. So I do think sometimes it's good, like you said, to stop, to just, chill out a little bit, stay away.
And it's also
And
time for you to listen to your body language and
regenerate
certain
itself.
signs,
I always
right?
say it's like regenerating time because you provide an herb, you're basically giving a tool, and now you let the body to do what is designed because you don't want the tool to become part of this, like what actually happened
Like
in
a
modern
dependency.
medicine.
Yeah.
What they do is they basically skip this part and they just right away treat you with the knife or treat you with this. No, it's all, everything works slowly, and the body also designed, to it's like regenerating machine. So you need to
Right.
give it time and respect that, and only then you go under the knife if there is a need. So that's
Any severe issue. Yeah. Because we also need to understand because people who are treating themselves or going through a detox or whatever, it's always good to listen to the body signs. So if an herb, like you mentioned, as a tool is extremely effective, then you want to see if your body is now able to do what it's designed to do on its own for a little bit, and then listen to your body like, okay, for the past 3 months, I've taken this herb and I've seen signs of improvement. Now let me stop this herb and see if my body can now do things on its own, whether it is that you did a liver detox, right? And you were doing detoxes, on a certain cycle, and you're seeing that your liver is functioning properly, then maybe you should give your liver a break and then see if once you see those negative signs again, then you know what to do on your own. And that's kind of our goal as mentors in the herbal world, is to teach you how to listen to your body and how to understand the certain language that your body speaks. And it's up to you to learn that language, right? So we give you the tools, we give you the methods, and then can your body actually do it? We know that the body is a self-healing machine. We know that it's supposed to regenerate things on its own, but sometimes we need that help, and that's when herbs come into play. But are you listening to the signs? That's a big thing, is are you listening to your own body? And so we want to encourage people to listen to their body, right?
Right.
Yeah, we have so many cases, right, Sarah? When people come and sometimes for 15 or 20 years, they're taking some sort of a supplement. And they actually, those supplements don't do anything for them because they come for the same problem what the supplement was supposed to fix. So what does it show us? That the supplement was not the right choice, or you misused it, or you've done something. Like, this is what you
It
feel.
stopped becoming effective at a certain point, right? So in terms of
But see, taking something for sometimes for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, on a daily basis without even thinking, that's not a good thing. So that
Yeah,
Right.
and sometimes they're just really crappy vitamins, and I say, throw it away.
Oh
Right.
yeah,
And some
you
people will come in with like, this
a
A
basket
bag.
of vitamins.
out of
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm taking ashwagandha, I'm taking bacopa, and I'm like, are you stressed?
What's
Like,
going
it's
on?
like I could tell what they're used for. Well, for one thing, you can combine a lot of this stuff, but I think a lot of people are out there trying to self-medicate, and
Yeah.
they buy stuff from a infomercial, and but this is why I encourage people. I try to make it not very intimidating, or not intimidating at all, to come in here. It's like, this is what Hava and I are here to do, is to help people eke all this stuff out. Are we, we can probably give you some good advice, or at least try to consolidate some of the stuff that you're taking. But certainly, if it's not working for you, just stop taking it.
Right. And
Absolutely.
like you said, people on this like this mushroom coffee craze. It's a lot of things, like you just, or ashwagandha, right? It's become extremely popular over the last like 7 or so years, right? Everybody heard about it, everybody's taking it, but really people don't understand what it's really used for. And so that's why we suggest, always, you can always call Sarah Hava. You can reach them on their websites, sarahsherbs.com, havawellness.com. Set up a consultation, meet them in person, whether it be or even through Zoom or a call, or follow their social media accounts and get to know them personally, and take matters into your own hands rather than just listening to what everybody else is doing, because you might not actually need it, or you're taking it for so long and it's defeated the purpose because your body has also become so used to taking this herb or whatever, and you need to take a break from it so that your body can start doing things on its own. So we always suggest to reach
Very
out to our healers.
confusing.
That's why they're here. Yeah. Our healers are here
Very
for a
confusing.
reason. We want you to get to know them personally, not just through this podcast. Everybody has some kind of issue. We're all not, in this day and age, we're all not perfectly healthy. It's just not the case. Even if we're healers ourselves, we all have issues, but it's taking it into your own hands. So I highly recommend working with these two wonderful ladies. They have so much expertise and years of doing this and treating people, and so much knowledge that they have to offer. So again, sarahsherbs.com, havawellness.com, or follow them on their social media accounts. And yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed today's discussion about fertility. And we really hope to see you next time. On our next episode, we're going to be talking about step 3 of women's health, and that is menopause. So we're talking about all the
Fun
steps of
times.
women's health.
Woohoo!
Fun times, right? Prepare your body, or if you're in the bouts of it and you're going through it, we're gonna have a lot of suggestions on what you can do to help you through this period of time in your life. So we talked about puberty, then fertility. We're getting down and dirty with menopause next time. We
Woohoo!
hope to see you. We hope to see you either live or thanks for listening to us. Bring yourself at Heal Yourself Naturally. Brought to you by IPAC. Thank you all for joining us today.